As you saw in my last video, I took the DK40, the tractor up there, and I loaded up a whole bunch of logs. Now, I've already got started, and what I've been doing is I've been making some boards for the tiny house. Now, what you see behind you is two things. You see this stuff, and this is 1.25 inches. This is going to be the boards for the walkway and the deck. And I figured by making it 1.25 inches, it'll shrink down a little bit with drying, put it right around 1 inch, 1.125 inches, etc. Looking at the next pile here where the headphones are, this material here, slip one up, this is 1 inch and this is 6 inch wide. So that's going to be used for lap siding. So when I say lap siding, it's basically going to get over there. It's going to basically overlap one over the next, so it's going to provide some good protection rather from the elements. So that's what I got behind me. I'm going to continue doing that here. As I can see, or as you can see behind me, I got a whole pile of logs still, and so why not get cutting? So let's get down to it. And just before anyone says anything, yes, that's a massive pile of offcuts behind me. That's what I use the chipper for. So I've got that WC68, the Woodland Mills wood chipper for the tractor. I chip a lot of that stuff, and that does a really solid job of that. So you'll see me doing that at some point. I just haven't got around to it, and quite frankly, it's starting to get pretty big. So we'll get around to it eventually. But anyways, back to milling. So as I'm about to get going here, one of the biggest things you got to pay attention to when you're milling is what size log is going to provide what size material. Now, if you look at the forest around you where you're getting material, and I'm just having a look around here, I don't have that big of trees. Now, most trees might be 10 inches in diameter, probably less. And so for me to get a log like this one, that's probably going to be about the biggest I get. And so you got to factor that in when you're deciding on what size material you're going to cut with the logs at hand. So when I look at this pile in front of me, anytime I get a big log, I'm always going to utilize that for the biggest material I need. So this is going to make 2x6s or 1x6s. Everything else, which I have an abundance of around me, is going to make the more common size. For me, that's a 2x4 or a 1x3. So utilize the big stuff in order to make the biggest material you can every single time, because at the end of the day, if I need more 2x6s, well, I might be looking a bit harder than normal. And so that's why I size my material for what I have. So just a tip, and hopefully that helps you guys. So I think what I'm going to do, because I don't need any 2x4 material right at the moment, I'm going to just roll the big one down so that I can make some 1x6 siding with it. And this is where the bunks really shine. The bunks more or less allow me to roll things that normally I couldn't get over logs in front of them. So what I'm going to do here, just get it going. Hopefully hit this. And it's funny, I did the thing I normally tell people not to do, and that is to leave those down, and that is what happened. So I left them down. As a result, it rolled nicely and then rolled right off the mill. Fortunately, this tree is manageable in that I can probably roll it back, but every once in a while you get a doozy that rolls off and I can't actually get it back on here, and that's why that what do you call it, hoist is there, whatever you call that thing, chain hoist. So let's see if we can get this thing back up here. Darn. This is gonna suck a little bit, I think. What's going on here? So, get up there. Oh, it's heavier than I am. Not quite. There we go. Whoa. Get on there. Really got to be careful here as well. You don't want to step in there. This rolls, it'll give your leg a good pinch-a-roo. Okay, not the start I wanted, but start nonetheless. I like to take my tape here and figure out approximately where the middle of the log is. And it's right around the 5-inch mark. And so if I want to get a 2x6 or a 1x6 off this, I go 3 inches above the middle, 3 inches below the middle. So my first cut should be right around 8 inches. And then when I get the flat side, I flip it over, and then I make the next cut at 6 inches and repeat. But that's the start anyways. I'm gonna go just over 8 inches this first time. I think maybe we might even try 8.5. Not bad. 8 is probably going to be the ticket. I always crank it up a little bit when I pull it back so nothing gets snagged on the blade to knock it off. That's better. Now we'll make our final 6-inch height. That last cut, what I say it was 8. I might even do a 7 here, and we'll end up with an extra inch piece. And there we just got 1 extra board out of it, so nothing wrong with that. Now we'll do our final 6-inch height, I think. Let's just double check. I forget if we have much material. Yeah, I think we're in good shape. Keep that off the side, so I'm going to use it, and now I'll flip this on edge and we'll finish off cutting the top and the bottom. So what I'm doing next is I'm trying to measure to see how I can get the most amount of material without bark. And so if you look where the 2-inch and the 7 is, there's no bark there, but I want it to be 6 inches wide, so I'm going to sneak into the bark a little bit. I'll probably cut about 1.5 to about 7.5. So my first cut will be the top one, the 7.5. So you can see there, 7.5. That looked pretty good. Trying to minimize the amount of waste here. flip it onto the other edge so that we're always cutting with a flat edge on these, I don't know what you call them, log rail or bunk. And now we'll make the final cut, which I want to be 6 inches. That looks pretty good. So I got a really nice looking 6x6. We call that a cant, C-A-N-T. And now I can take my lumber off it as I like. So I'm going to do 1 inch boards, because this is going to be some lap siding. Don't forget to lower these down. Push it up firm against it, and yeah, just set it and forget it. Down 5 inches, 4, etc. So 5 to start. Set it off the side for now. My next one, obviously inch lower, so it's 5. Lock it into place. And just like that, we have a nice pile of siding. So as you can see here, we've got some beautiful 1x6 red pine siding boards. And as I mentioned before, we're going to do lap siding. I don't know what the what do you call it? I want to call it relief, but the part you see, I forget for some reason, but I don't know what that's going to be, but it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 5 inches. So you're going to have something just like this. Just like that. So it's going to be horizontal on the building, and we'll nail the top edge so that the board that goes over top of it hides all the nails, allowing for room for expansion and contraction and things like that. But anyways, that's it. I got a real good start on the siding. As I mentioned, I also cut some deck boards, 1.25 inches. I just moved those over to the actual tiny house project, so you'll see me doing some work with that shortly. But in the meantime, on to the next. So got some siding boards done, got to work on the roof, got to work on the deck. I got lots to do. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. As I mentioned before, this is my Woodland Mills HM130. This is a 2017 model. This thing's worked flawlessly for the last, I guess, 2 years. And I've cut a heck of a lot of lumber with it. So In the meantime, guys, check out the playlist. I got all kinds of videos dealing with my tiny house, but I also have more playlists. I got one dealing with this Woodland Mills HM130. If you're interested in seeing more action with that, check out that playlist. If you're looking at how that lumber is going to be used, check out the playlist dealing with the tiny house. If you're interested in seeing about how the tractor got all these logs here, then check out that playlist. As I mentioned, I got tons of content out there. Regardless, you guys could do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button. It'll help me get my content out there. And if you've done so already, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you haven't, feel free to consider. That's really about it for me, Coda and myself. Right, Coda? Yeah, he's beelining it. So Coda and myself are heading out of here. Anyways, appreciate you guys all watching, and take care, and we'll see you all next time.